Well, excited to welcome in TCU head coach Gary Patterson. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. Really excited to kind of dive into Jalen Reagor and what he's meant to that TCU football team. And really, let's bring us back to the beginning. What was it like recruiting Jalen? What did you see from him early on? And then get into his skill set and what he brought to the table for you guys over the course of his 3 years there.
Well, his dad was an NFL guy, as you guys all know. And so he was actually committed to Texas Tech, then OU, and then he ended up coming back here close to home, which was great for us, having a difference maker at the wide receiver position. Ray's basically a guy that can play running back and plays wide out. Very strong, very powerful, obviously athletic. He was a 26-foot long jumper in high school, ran on their group that ran, I think, a 40.0 something in the 4x100, so he could run. And kind of he had a pedigree of understanding what it was to play in college football, and also leadership to get to the next level.
Yeah, you talk about those jumps. He went to the combine in Indianapolis a couple months ago. Feels like much longer than a couple months ago at this point, but tore up the gym in terms of what he was able to do with his jumps. That was something that always kind of stood out. I know he was on Bruce Feldman's freak list back in the summer as one of the top athletes in college football. When you evaluate those guys coming up through high school and you see that track background, does that show you the kind of explosiveness that he could bring to the football field?
Well, yeah, it's I look at the long jump a little bit more than I look at the high jump. Just over the years, I would do it. And he was a 6'8" high jumper too, without working at it. But, for us, powerful, I think the thing that he gives you athletically is he can play a lot of positions, obviously, and he doesn't have a problem working at it. He covered on our special teams. He also was a punt returner, which I think is one of the things the Eagles like, that he can also be part of special teams. And I think he has a tremendous upside. I think, to become better at running routes and doing all that stuff, but he's a great screen guy. He can make people miss. He can break tackles. Great screen guy. And then I think his ceiling's high as far as the vertical game because of the way he runs and as he goes about things. So as I told the group earlier, I think like all wide receivers, they can all learn how to block a lot better. And, at the point of attack and do things. The good thing about Jalen, I think he was like almost over a 600-pound squatter, a 400-pound bench, probably almost a 400-pound power cleaner. So he has the ability to be physical on the edge and do those kind of things. And that also helps him get off press as a rookie. You're not going to have to get him stronger. He's already a guy that does that.
One of the things that stood out to me watching you guys over the last couple of years with him was, his competitiveness. That showed up going up and fighting for the ball in those contested jump ball situations, whether it's down the red zone or to the boundary. And then with the ball in his hands, just a guy that was fearless, working over the middle, trying to pick up extra yardage, obviously busted off a number of big plays. Is there one kind of moment or a play that you can kind of draw back on to, kind of put that competitiveness on display for us?
Yeah, we beat Baylor in 2 seasons ago, and he caught a what we call a jailbreak screen, and probably everybody on their defense had one chance to tackle him. I think in all fairness to Jalen, really 2 years ago we lost all the way down to our 4th team quarterback, and this last year we played with a freshman, and really probably we didn't do him justice as far as getting him the ball and doing things. A lot of people have talked about where he dropped some balls. It gets to where you lose a confidence level of working with people. You're not working with an older quarterback and doing things. But the combine, he caught the ball well. Like I said, going into the draft, I think his wherever he went to, I think his ceiling was going to be a lot higher than what people expected. And he's like all of my guys. If they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're probably going to get a phone call from me because it's having been here 23 years. We've had 700 guys go through, 140 some. Get into camp. We've had 50 drafted. And so he represents a lot of guys. And I've had a lot of those NFL guys, DMing me last night, tweet at me just to let me know, they were excited about having 2 guys go in the first round. And we're going to have a couple more tonight. So he knows he's a frog. He'll always be a frog. But, we always want him to do well because we want the Eagles to come get more of our guys.
Yeah, the Eagles have had plenty of success going down there, between Halapoulivaati Vaitai certainly has been a great player for the Eagles over the course of his career. Matt Pryor coming in and doing well at the end of last year as well. I want to ask you, Coach, you're known as one of the best defensive minds in all of college football. So when you line up against a guy like a Jalen Reagor, as a defensive coach, and he's got that ability to both be a vertical stretch guy and then also be a horizontal stretch weapon, in terms of the jets and the bubble screens and everything that can get defenses on the move and make room for everybody else. What does that mean for a defensive coach when you have to game plan for a presence like that?
Well, yeah, it's when they're already stronger. A lot of times, a younger player physically, he can't get off press. If you're the guys, older guys in the league, they're stronger. And he's a guy that's sort of going to have a little bit of that, but you can't just say, well, here's the routes he's going to run. You can just stay over the top, and then he's not going to be part of the game plan. He's going to be a guy that can catch guys. And the thing that he has that a lot of them don't have when they're fast guys is because of his jump ability. He can elevate. It's easy to get over the top of a really just a fast guy. It's not as hard. It's not as easy to be able to get a guy that can elevate in the middle of the field and go up and get the ball like a taller player. And I think that's where he has the capabilities to keep growing. Nobody's perfect, or he'd been the first pick in the draft, right?
That's right. So, I say the same thing all the time.
Yeah, so there's a lot of good players out there. I think his ceiling to get better. He comes in, he knows how to work. If he'll do that, if he'll just act like he's a rookie and understand that he needs to come to practice every day, I think you guys are going to like it. It was the same thing I told Coach B. I said to B, I said, what's the difference between Coach P and Gary? Gary's a really nice guy, right? Coach P, when he steps on the field, that at the NFL level, everyone wants a job. So you've got to learn how to be that guy that's very intense and get ready to play. And, you also had a guy by the name of Jason Phillips that played linebacker for the Eagles.
Right, linebacker.
Yep. And so, we all have a tradition we're supposed to upheld. And so, I hope, for the Eagles' sake, that he's a great player and he helps you win a lot of football games.
Yeah, Jason Phillips was a maniac on special teams for sure. Coach, the last question I've got for you, this is kind of like a big over-the-top question, just talking philosophically with a guy like a Jalen Reagor. The Eagles are a big 12 personnel offense. Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, they love getting those two tight ends on the field. You already have a Deshaun Jackson. You've got a dynamic running back that can do a lot of different things from a versatility standpoint, Miles Sanders. When you have the speed on the field at wide receiver with a Jalen Reagor and Deshaun Jackson, with those two tight ends, what does that do for those guys? What kind of problems does that cause for a defense?
Well, because people have to put more people in the box, and then you get one-on-ones, and sometimes you give up, you get the vertical threat. Somehow you have to be able to get that extra guy down there when people can run the football. And that's the problem with the 12 personnel set, the two tight ends, is that when you have guys that are vertical threats and you have to sometimes to do that, you got to put them in one-on-ones. Whether it's the speed factor or making a miss on screens and everything else, and you get by the first guy, it's a big play. And so that's what we do here. Speed is a premium at TCU. It's always been a premium, and Jalen's one of those guys that has that.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining us. Congratulations to the Horned Frogs program with Jeff Gladney, Jalen Reagor going in round one. I know a few other guys, like you said earlier, sure to hear their name called over the next couple of days. Thanks so much for joining us. Stay safe, be healthy, and we'll hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you very much, and go Eagles.